Have you ever wanted to be a giant robot mercenary? Daydreaming about strapping yourself into a war machine, blowing up enemies for money, and looking like a badass while doing it? Well, welcome to Armored Core, a game that hands you a barely functional mech with a million guns attached to it, throws you into a war zone as you're trying to understand what the hell is going on, and laughs while you struggle to survive in a world dominated by savage corporations and ruthless rebels. It's brutal, it's unforgiving, and it absolutely does not care about your feelings. But here's the thing, it's also one of the most rewarding gaming experiences you'll ever have. So, is this PlayStation 1 classic still worth playing today in 2025? Stick around because I got some opinions to share and possibly some emotional damage. Now, Armored Core dropped in 1997 and it's been a fan favorite ever since. But let's take a step back and look at the landscape of video games at the time, because this game wasn't just another title, it was a bold move. The late 90s were a golden era for gaming. We had Final Fantasy VII revolutionizing JRPGs, Gran Turismo making us question the definition of realism in racing, and Metal Gear Solid about to reshape the way we think about stealth action. Meanwhile, Armored Core came in with its giant mechs, cryptic story, and hardcore difficulty and said, I'll just wait for you to catch up. It didn't have the widespread appeal of some of its competitors, and let's face it, in a world where Pokemon was turning RPGs into a global phenomenon and GoldenEye was revolutionizing multiplayer, a game about piloting giant robots was a hard sell for the mainstream audiences. Back then, people were more used to traditional action games, so Armored Core felt like it came out of left field. The gameplay wasn't exactly pick up and play, and it had a niche appeal that left a lot of people scratching their heads. The control system was complex, the camera felt like it had a mind of its own, and the missions were punishing, much like modern FromSoft games like Dark Souls and Elden Ring. It didn't exactly fit the mold of what people were expecting from their PS1 games, and honestly, some reviews were mixed. Critics loved the idea of customizing your mech and the combat system, but the absurd difficulty and the confusing controls kept the game from hitting record-breaking numbers. But for the players who did understand it, they fell in love with the challenge and the depth. In a world where Gran Turismo made car lovers feel like they were behind the wheel of an actual vehicle, Armored Core made you feel like you were piloting the future's deadliest weapon, and it was so much fun once you figured it out. So yeah, this game had its flaws, but that didn't stop Armored Core from finding a loyal fan base. It was like the Dark Souls of its time before Dark Souls was even a thing. Sure, it didn't have maidens,
you are maidenless,
but it had everything that makes a FromSoft game infamous. A camera that wants you dead, controls that make you feel like you're drunk, and a level of difficulty that makes you wonder if the developers took pleasure in your suffering. But somehow, despite all of that, it still gave players one of the best gaming experiences of the era. It was a game that you had to earn, and at a time where gaming was often about instant gratification, Armored Core made you work for every single victory. And for those who stuck with it, there was no feeling like the pure joy of overcoming something that seemed impossible at first glance. Alright, so let's talk about the very beginning of Armored Core, because right off the bat, the game is like, hey, you're in this, good luck. There's no tutorial, there's no hand-holding, you're literally dropped into a mission like you've been thrown into the deep end of a pool, except the pool is filled with bullets, missiles, and giant robot death machines. You do not get to ease into this. You're immediately put into the cockpit of your AC and the game says, figure it out, rookie. And if you thought the learning curve was steep, that's because it's practically a cliff. Your first mission is simple enough. Go in, blow stuff up, and survive. Except what they don't tell you is that you're gonna be doing this with a set of controls that feels like it was designed by someone who hates you personally. There's no training wheels here. You have to figure out the movement, the boosting, and the shooting while you're dodging enemy fire. And trust me, you will be dodging enemy fire a lot. It's like the game is trying to see if you even have the guts to keep playing. And the answer is always no, at least at first. You'll be smashing buttons, trying to remember what did what, only to end up flying straight into a wall while having missiles lock onto you from across the map. But here's the kicker, despite all the chaos and frustration, that's exactly what makes the start of this game so exciting. The second you drop into the first mission, it's like you're walking into the ring with a heavyweight champion and you have no idea how to throw a punch. There's no pacing or easy intro, it's straight into the fire. And while your first few attempts are probably going to end in spectacular failure, that sense of win or die really sets the tone for everything that comes after. The game doesn't give you room to breathe. You're immediately thrust into this ruthless world where every mission feels like a test of endurance. If you somehow make it out alive, it's a victory that feels earned. And when you finally survive that very first mission, it's less like, oh, that was easy, and more like, I can't believe I'm still alive. You've barely scratched the surface of the game's mechanics, but you've already learned more than you think about survival in Armored Core. The fact that you survived is a small miracle, and that's the point. The game isn't interested in holding your hand. It's going to drop you in, throw you into the action, and let you figure it out as you go. And honestly, that challenge is what hooks you. It's not about winning, it's about earning those wins, one painful failure at a time. Alright, so let's jump into what makes Armored Core so unique, the customization. The very first thing you're going to notice, besides the incredibly 90s looking UI, is how absolutely massive the customization menu is. Armored Core doesn't just let you build a mech, it gives you a borderline existential crisis over it. You'll spend 30 minutes fine-tuning a loadout, only to realize you forgot to check the weight limit and now your death machine moves like a brick with legs. Yeah, welcome to Armored Core. It's like being a kid in a candy store, except some of the candy is actually rocks and you won't find out until you try to chew them. And good luck actually understanding what anything means, because the moment you open the shop or the assembly menu, you're hit with the wall of abbreviations and stats that might as well be written in an alien language. Look, I came here to build a giant robot, not to take an advanced engineering course. I didn't even realize you could press triangle for an item description for the longest time. And don't expect the game to explain what anything means. It just throws you into the deep end and hopes you figure it out before accidentally building a mech that overheats just from walking forward. And the worst part, everything has trade-offs. You find a powerful weapon? Cool. It probably weighs a ton and drains all your energy. Want high-speed legs? Great. Hope you enjoy carrying nothing but a pea shooter because now your weight limit is garbage. It's like trying to build the perfect mech while balancing a checkbook, and every choice feels like some cruel cosmic joke. But hey, after a few hours of trial and error and about 50, wait, why can't I move moments? You start to get the hang of it. Kinda. So here's the deal. You got your lightweight, super fast mechs, basically jet-powered mosquitoes that can dodge anything but explode if you even look at them wrong. Then there's the heavy ACs, built like a walking refrigerator. You're slow, you're an easy target, but on the bright side, you could probably tank a nuclear blast and just walk it off. And then there's the balance builds, you know, for people who like stability or whatever. It's like ordering vanilla ice cream. It's not bad, it's just safe. But hey, sometimes being the jack of all trades is a lot better than being the pile of scrap metal in the corner. Alright, so let's talk about the controls. Movement, boosters, aiming, sounds easy, right? Wrong. Controlling your mech in this game is like trying to ice skate uphill during an earthquake. Your boosters don't just push you forward, they hurl you into the unknown with all the grace of a drunk giraffe. And aiming, oh boy. Hope you like wrestling with the camera because looking up and down requires button presses like some kind of weird mech yoga pose. This is the kind of control scheme that makes you appreciate the simple things in life, like games where looking up is just moving the right stick. Have you ever tried to do a 3-point turn in a parking lot, but you're in a giant robot and the parking lot is actively on fire? That's what trying to turn in this game feels like. You get used to it eventually, but in the beginning, oh man, you're gonna suffer. Now let's take a second to appreciate the heads-up display, or as I like to call it, the ultimate test of situational awareness. Because let's be real, the HUD in Armored Core looks like it was designed by a mad scientist who thought user-friendly was just a suggestion. You've got numbers, bars, and meters everywhere, and half the time you're not even sure what you're looking at. There's an energy gauge that punishes you for boosting too much, an ammo counter reminding you that bullets cost money, a radar that may or may not help you in the heat of battle, and a targeting system that feels like it was coded by an intern on their lunch break. And don't even get me started on the warning messages. You'll be in the middle of a fight, missiles flying, alarms blaring, and suddenly your screen is yelling, energy low, ammo depleted, core damage imminent. Like, yeah, I know, I'm living it. Trying to process all this information while piloting a 10-ton death machine is like trying to read a tax form while driving a motorcycle at 200 miles per hour. But hey, once you finally do figure it out, it does make you feel like a proper mech pilot, just one who needed a crash course in how to read a sci-fi dashboard first. Alright, so let's talk about something that really makes you feel like a broke mercenary: money management. You'd think that being a high-tech mech pilot means rolling in cash, but Armored Core treats you more like a gig worker who just spent their whole paycheck on gas and a flat tire. Every bullet you fire, that's coming out of your cut. Every missile you launch, that's another line on the expense report. And if your AC takes damage, congratulations. You just racked up a repair bill that would make a car mechanic blush. Sure, the mission payouts seem generous at first, but after you factor in expenses, it's like getting your paycheck only to realize rent is due tomorrow and your bank account is laughing at you. If you go trigger happy and unload your entire arsenal, don't be surprised if your big payday turns into barely breaking even. It forces you to be strategic, not just in combat, but in how you spend your shots. You start looking at enemies not as threats, but as financial liabilities. Do I really need to fire these rockets, or can I just politely convince this guy to explode with my rifle? It's a brutal system, but it makes every shot, every dodge, and every mission feel important. Welcome to the cutthroat world of corporate warfare, where the real enemy is your own budget. But here's the thing. Once you finally tame this mechanical bull, it all clicks. The combat becomes this intense, high-stakes battle of positioning, timing, and ammo management. And when you finally land that perfect missile shot on an enemy, it feels incredible, like threading a needle while skydiving. The movement may be clunky, but it's deliberate. And when you start using that weight and momentum to your advantage, suddenly, you're not just fighting the controls, you're mastering them. It's frustrating, it's rewarding, it's Armored Core, baby. Now let's talk about the meat and potatoes, the missions. You'd think it'd be simple, go in, blow stuff up, and leave. But no, Armored Core has a whole mercenary gig going on, and let me tell you, it does not care about your personal well-being. You're not some heroic space marine fighting for justice. You're a freelancer, a glorified errand boy, and a walking tank. And your clients? Well, they range from soulless corporations to underground organizations so shady they make back alley deals look like charity fundraisers. Spoiler alert, none of them actually care if you make it out alive, just as long as you finish the job. It's capitalism, baby. The missions in Armored Core are, let's call them directionally challenged. You drop into a dusty gray box full of enemies and the game just says, destroy targets. Cool, but where are they? Who knows? Hope you brought a compass, a flashlight, and maybe a Sherpa, because these levels are straight up mazes. Industrial hallways that loop back on themselves, elevators to nowhere, and doors that only open after you've blown up something on the opposite side of the map. It's like a haunted IKEA. You'll spend more time getting lost than actually fighting, and half the time your biggest enemy isn't the enemy AC, it's the level geometry. I didn't sign up for the Mecha edition of Where's Waldo. And don't even think the radar is going to save you. That thing has the range of a broken Tamagotchi and the accuracy of a blindfolded dart throw. Enemies pop up like surprise guests at a bad party.
Surprise, motherfucker.
You don't even know where they are until they're already deleting your health bar. And the map? Oh yeah, that tiny corner map that spins around like a drunken Beyblade and never actually tells you where to go. It's less of a navigational tool and more of an abstract art piece. And let's not forget the corridors. Sweet, claustrophobic corridors. Every level feels like it was designed by someone who hates fun and geometry. You'll spend half the mission trying to wedge your mech through hallways that were clearly made for someone 3 sizes smaller. Boosting through these tight spaces is like trying to park a dump truck in a broom closet, except the dump trunk has missile launchers and you're on fire. The mission types are all over the place. Sometimes it's a simple blow this thing up gig, sometimes you're protecting a high value target, and sometimes you're doing something so stupidly specific that you know it's gonna go wrong. And then there are missions that straight up lie to you. You pick something that sounds straightforward like eliminate the rogue MTs or investigate unknown signals, only to realize you've been set up. One minute you're strolling through an empty facility thinking, this is easy, and the next, ambush. The radar goes nuts, missiles start flying, and suddenly you're outnumbered, outgunned, and seriously questioning your life choices. And the worst part? Your employer probably knew this was going to happen, but did they warn you? No. Because once again, you are nothing but a disposable pawn in their endless game of corporate chess. And then you got these real fights, the one where the game goes, oh, you thought this was gonna be easy? That's adorable. The AI is no joke. Enemies are aggressive, they flank, they dodge, and they will absolutely make you regret every decision that led you here. You'll be running low on ammo, overheating from boosting too much, and praying to whatever deity listens to mech pilots. It's chaotic, it's brutal, and when you scrape by with the sliver of health left, it feels incredible, like you just survived the sci-fi version of Die Hard. Oh, and let's take a second to talk about the boss fights, because surprise, some missions just don't tell you that you're about to get absolutely wrecked by a giant death machine. You'll accept a simple contract, showing up thinking you're just fighting a couple of goons, and then boom, a next level war machine drops in unannounced like it owns the place. No warning, no backup, just you, your rapidly draining ammo supply, and a growing sense of regret. These fights are absolutely brutal, but when you finally take down one of these monstrosities, that's the good stuff. That's the moment you remember why you signed up for this madness in the first place. Well, that and the paycheck, assuming you didn't just blow all your profits on repairs. Again. All right, now let's talk about the story. It's kind of vague, but in the best possible way. This game takes place in a dystopian future where corporations rule everything. You're part of a private military company, just another cog in the machine, battling for contracts and cash. Some of these conversations are so cryptic, you'll feel like you're on the receiving end of a fortune cookie that was written by someone in a crisis. What? What does that even mean? And yet you're so drawn into it. You start piecing the puzzle together, and the game keeps you intrigued with its weird lore. One of the things that stands out about Armored Core is its world building. You're not just fighting for the hell of it, you're fighting for something much bigger. The corporations, the factions, the backstabbing, it's all a complex web of intrigue, and you, my friend, are just a pawn in the game. And honestly, that's part of the charm. You're part of a huge machine where every action you take has consequences, even if those consequences are often, hey, here's your paycheck, now go fight someone else. It's like being in a corporate drama. with explosions. Let's talk about the factions in Armored Core, because nothing says dystopian future like mega corporations, shady underground groups, and mercenaries who get paid in blood, money, and parts. First up is Chrome. Think evil Amazon, but with tanks. These guys are the old school corporate juggernauts. They build stuff, own everything, and believe the world works better when it's under their cold, metallic boot. They'll hire you to take out their enemies, then turn around and pay someone else to take you out if you start asking too many questions. Classic corpo behavior. Then we've got the Murakumo Millennium, Chrome's biggest rival. And yes, that name sounds like a failed PlayStation 2 JRPG. They're the hip tech company trying to change the world, which usually means blowing stuff up with more style and better lighting effects. They act like they're the good guys, but let's be honest, they're just Chrome with a better PR team and slightly less war crime energy. Now, if you're tired of all this corporate drama, there's the arena. It's a place where ravens fight each other for cash, fame, and the right to brag in the garage. No politics here, just missiles, plasma, and a leaderboard full of names like Wildcat and Stingray. If you ever wanted to settle your problems by stuffing 80 tons of armor into a room and letting the last mech standing win, the arena's your place. Speaking of which, you're a Raven. Basically a freelance war machine for hire with no allegiance, no rules, and definitely no dental plan. You get tossed into corporate skirmishes like a can of spicy death soup, and somehow you're still expected to do the job professionally. But hey, the pay's decent and blowing up robots never gets old. Then there's the government. Yes, the government exists. Technically. They mostly just sit in the background, wringing their hands while corporations tear each other apart. It's kind of like they're the substitute teacher in a room full of grenade-launching toddlers. Occasionally, they'll pop up to issue a mission or say, hey, maybe don't destroy the entire planet, but no one's really listening to them. And just when you think things couldn't get more ethically questionable, along comes the Human Plus program. You know, that totally not illegal experiment where people get turned into part human, part AC freaks with psychic powers. You might hear whispers about it if you die too many times and suddenly wake up with built-in energy weapons. Totally normal, absolutely fine, not a single lawsuit in sight. The more you dig into this game's world, the more you start to realize nobody's a good guy. Like sure, the corporations may seem like the big bad guys, but the rebel factions are just as ruthless, and half of them might be working for the same corporations anyways. You're constantly being fed bits of information that never quite make sense until you stumble on something that finally clicks, and even then, you'll probably find out that you've been lied to. It's like the game is telling you, hey, don't trust anyone, especially not the people paying you. There's a lot of vagueness here, and at first it's frustrating, but after a while you kind of get used to it. It's like being dropped into a web of conspiracy theories, and instead of running away, you decide to live in it, especially when you've got a giant robot to pilot. And let's talk about the endgame, or should I say the hopeful endgame, because when you get to the later stages, you start to realize you're not just blowing up random targets or working for the highest bidder, you're getting involved in something much bigger. The game hints at a larger conflict, one that involves the fate of humanity itself, and honestly, it's a lot like watching a slow motion train wreck. You can see it coming, you know that things are going to get out of hand, but you still have to push forward. It's a slow burn of paranoia, betrayal, and some of the most epic robot on robot battles you'll ever see. And while you're out there dodging missiles and fighting the actual bad guys, the question remains, who's really in control here? Now let's talk about the thing that makes every FromSoft game a FromSoft game, the extreme difficulty. Armored Core is tough. It's not one of those, oh, let me just pop and enjoy a casual mission kind of games. Nah, this game is get ready to die a lot kind of experience. Seriously, you're gonna spend more time dying than winning, and that's okay. It's all part of the fun. There's a certain satisfaction in being absolutely wrecked by a boss, getting up and coming back stronger. It's like you're playing Sekiro in a giant robot suit. It punishes you, but it never feels unfair. And when you finally beat that boss after hours of attempts, it feels like the greatest achievement of your life. Now, some of you might be thinking, how bad could it really be? Well, let me tell you, this game is FromSoft's warm-up for the real suffering they'd unleash on us later with games like Dark Souls and Elden Ring. Seriously, these guys have been perfecting the art of brutal, learn from your mistakes gameplay since the 90s. You might think Dark Souls is the peak of misery and despair, but trust me, Armored Core was out here teaching you to suffer in style way before it became fashionable. You think dodging attacks from Ornstein and Small is tough? Try dodging 50 homing missiles, a flamethrower, and a 10-ton mech that moves faster than you thought was possible, all while trying to keep your overheated thrusters from turning you into a firework display. The thing that's so great about the difficulty is that it's earned. Every victory feels deserved through sheer willpower and a solid understanding of the game's mechanics. You're not just hacking and slashing through enemies, you're constantly making decisions, what parts to equip, how to manage your ammo, and how to avoid overheating, all while dodging a rain of destruction from your enemies. It's like trying to solve a Rubik's Cube while your opponent is shooting at you with laser-guided missiles. And you know what? I love it. There's just something about how this game makes you fight for every win that makes victory feel much sweeter. It's like climbing a mountain of steel and explosives, only to finally reach the top, and when you do, you feel like you've just conquered Mount Everest. Here's the secret. The difficulty is exactly what makes this game so great. In a world full of hold my hand games that tell you exactly what to do and when to do it, Armored Core just throws you into the fire and says, good luck, man. And that's the simple beauty of it. It's hard, but that challenge is what keeps you coming back. It's like if Sekiro had a mech suit, it would probably feel pretty similar, except instead of a sword, you're wielding an ungodly collection of rockets and missiles. And just when you think the game can't get worse, it does. But when you win, oh man, it's glorious. You might not be able to walk straight for a few minutes after, but damn, does it feel like you earned that victory. So after all the chaos and frustration and more explosives than a Michael Bay movie, what's the final verdict? Armored Core isn't just some relic of the past, it's a game that still holds up today, and honestly, it might be more relevant now than ever. The mission structure is punishing but rewarding. The story is vague but deeply immersive. The world building is a corporate dystopian nightmare that, let's be real, feels a little too relatable in modern times, and the difficulty still hits like a truck full of war crimes. But that's exactly why it's so good. It doesn't hold your hand. It throws you into a war zone and tells you to figure it out, and that's what makes every win feel so damn incredible. Despite being over 2 decades old, Armored Core still offers an experience you won't find anywhere else. It's got a level of customization that would make modern mech games jealous, and its combat is as brutal as it is satisfying. Sure, the controls take some getting used to, and the game will absolutely kick your teeth in, but if you're up for the challenge, this is one mech ride you don't want to miss. Plus, let's be honest, if you can survive Armored Core, you can probably survive late-stage capitalism. No guarantees, but hey, at least you'll know how to dodge missiles.